Welcome to Figure Eight, where we feature inspiring stories of women entrepreneurs who have grown their businesses to 7 and 8 figures revenue. If you're in the mix of growing a bigger business, these stories are for you. Join us as we explore where the tough spots are, how to overcome them, and how to prepare yourself for the next portion of the climb. I'm your host, Julie Ellis. I'm an author, entrepreneur, and a growth and leadership coach who co-founded, grew, and exited an 8-figure business. This led me to exploring why some women achieve great things. And that led to my book, Big Gorgeous Goals. Let's explore the systems, processes, and people that help us grow our businesses to new heights. If you're interested in growing your business, this podcast will help. Now, let's get going. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Figure Eight. Today, I am chatting with Dionne Baker, and she is the founder of DeeBee's Organics, which is in the organic food space, making healthy, delicious, and organic snacks for kids and adults. And she's applying her knowledge in the food industry gained over many years to her current entrepreneurial venture. And I'm really excited to talk to her today. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk to you as well.
Yeah, I love what you're doing. And I think you've got such an interesting business. But with that said, I know how hard it is in the retail landscape and to work with, big players and sell your product there. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey and how you got started.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share my story. It was really one of kind of serendipity. It wasn't something I was looking for. I wasn't looking for, how could I build a company? I was in the process of completing my PhD in maternal-fetal toxicology, and I expected to go on to an academic career. But I was in the kitchen with my two kids, and one of my kids, David, he was 8 years old at the time. And we had taken him off all artificial ingredients, all additives, all added refined sugars, artificial colors, that kind of thing. And it was very, very hard, especially back then, to find treats that I felt good about giving him. And I was in the kitchen. He was making tea, and his sister was making little frozen pops. And they were arguing about who was going to do what with mommy. And then Jocelyn, my daughter, said, "Mommy, let's make teasicles," kind of combining the tea and the popsicles. And it spurred an idea. I stood in the kitchen and I had this kind of light bulb go off. It's funny how it happens when you least expect it. And I thought, oh my gosh, hang on. I could build a company, create treats and snacks for my kids that I could share with everybody else. And at the same time, grow a company using my children as a barometer of success. Would I be proud and could I tell my kids how I'm building a company? And this all happened like literally within a flash. And we started out, very serendipitously with me knowing nothing about business. Nothing, like literally nothing. In fact, I used to say, "Oh, my brother does business. I don't know business. I know, medical sciences. I don't know business." And so I really learned it from the ground up, building DBs. And it was probably lucky I was as naive as I was back then, because it was really tough. And it's still tough, but I've learned a lot on the journey.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, because I feel like our stories are similar in that respect. None of us at Mabel's Labels had a business degree. We largely felt also like we didn't know what we were doing. But somehow when we look back, I can see that we did very common sense things that if we had gone to business school, we would have been taught to do, which is incredibly interesting when you feel like you're sort of fumbling through the dark and yet you set up processes, systems, checkpoints, financial due diligence, all the things that come with kind of getting yourself on a path to growth and to doing it, with your eyes open.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think no matter where you come from, whether it's when you went to university or you didn't, or you're learning the way we did, um, you can use your skills. So I used what I knew as a medical scientist, and I tried to carry those over to being an entrepreneur. And that was really, really solid as a kind of that base, because I had built big research projects at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto as I was doing my PhD. And I kind of use those skills, which really you have to be a lifelong learner. You need to want to learn. And I think that our education and life teaches you how to learn. And I think that's a really, really key thing, and something I've tried to instill in our own kids.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think entrepreneurship is definitely a journey of learning because I always sort of said, whenever I felt like I knew what I was doing, something big was coming down the pipe and I was going to have to pivot, learn new skills, manage more people, delve into things that I had never done before. And so I think it is that like real growth mindset, lifelong learner kind of attitude that takes you far when you're an entrepreneur.
Well, it's funny. Even this morning, like you're talking about how things coming down the pipe. We had some big challenges this year, and competitors and all sorts of things. And it turned out that the competitors didn't do that well. We were all kind of nervous about it, but they can't. The retailers have come back and said, "My God, nobody does nearly as well as DeeBee's does, and we want to go full bore with you next year." And so, it's really interesting that sometimes through the challenges, and I was talking to my team about, there are silver linings when a challenge comes your way. It's really how you deal with the challenge, or if mistakes happen, do we own those mistakes and say, I messed up and I need some help to fix it, or this is how I'm going to fix it. And I think taking ownership like that, and empowering your team, because we talked about like that a team is so important. Um, Empowering them to be okay with mistakes when they happen, because you can fix them, but you can't fix it if you try to cover it up. So,
And I think
yeah.
mistakes are one of the richest places for us to learn about what we can do differently the next time.
Yeah, I could not agree more. There's so much that comes out of, I have this saying, it's not the challenge you face, it's how you face the challenge. Because they're going to come at you, and as an entrepreneur or someone in business, they come at you all the time, and it's always in an unexpected way. Rarely is it an expected challenge. And so it's really having that ability to pivot, to say, okay, I know from this, hardship is going to come, there's going to be a silver lining somewhere, and I'm going to look out for it so I can learn from it.
Yeah. Yes. So let's rewind a little bit back to sort of those early days when your kids were your taste testers and your inspiration for getting started. When did you kind of start to realize you were onto something with the product?
Well, and that's such an interesting question, because I started out making organic tea popsicles. They were frozen, and the frozen supply chain is incredibly difficult.
Yes.
We don't make anything with tea any longer, and we don't make anything frozen. And so, I knew there was like this need in the market for delicious organic popsicles. One of the things that we've never ever strayed away from, and we're the only company in the market today in our entire category. Every single thing is organic. Where every product is certified organic, and that comes from the fact that we have children who are growing bodies, and then as adults, the cellular level, and as someone in medical sciences, I know the degradation that happens to our cells when we're exposing ourselves to the pesticides and the herbicides that actually kill us and cause all sorts of things, but especially in growing bodies. So we never stray away from that. And so, yeah, early days was the birth of something that would shine through, but then the changes came. And my kids are still taste testers, except now they're super critical. They always have been, but I know if they think it's good, it's probably going to, do well in the market.
They're now expert taste testers.
Yes, they are definitely expert taste testers and very critical. But that's okay. It's
Hmm.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've slowly been, so your product is now available across North America. Is that right?
It's now across North America, and in fact, now I'm seeing it in South America, in Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East. So, we haven't made big efforts outside of North America, but it's kind of naturally through distributors gone to some of those places. And so yeah, it's been very exciting to I remember seeing it in our first store in Victoria where I live, and then, going to Texas where I had never been, and going into an HEB store over there, which is a big store in Texas, and seeing it on the shelf and going, oh my God, like, wow, this is my product on the shelf. And now, we're all over, like you name it. We're all over. So it's been exciting.
It's funny though, because no matter how all over you get, I don't think that thrill ever goes away of walking into a store and finding your product.
Oh, every single time. I feel like, oh, I just saw my baby, like I'll actually give it a hug sometimes. So every single time, and especially when I walk into like I always see our grocery stores as partners. And when I see them displaying us really, really well, I mean, I'll sometimes get teary eyed, and I always end up buying the team their for product for them to try and saying hello. And um, so yeah, I'm very proud and very nostalgic every time I see us.
That's so great. How has the product, I mean, you evolved sort of out of tea and a frozen product. And obviously, one of the things that happens when stores take you on is they would love for you to bring them more offerings and more SKUs and more flavors and different products and all of the things. What has that journey been like for you?
Well, I think, as an innovator and a scientist, that's the really exciting part. And part that really gets me going. So we're always innovating. And we always create things that no one else has created before. So we were the first organic, all fruit, 100% organic freezer pop anywhere in the world. And we created that category. We're the main driver of that category. We're the main innovator in that category. And so, that's what I really love to do. And we're just launching new products right now into the fruit snack space. So, really creating new innovation that's never ever been there before, with fruit as the first, organic fruit as the first ingredient, and disrupting that space. So, I'm excited about that. And it's really, we already have that supply chain. So, we're just extracting the water out of the organic fruit supply chain that we have.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I think it does, there's a certain like, when you have a great skill set like that kind of ingenuity and the ideas to bring new things in, it's so exciting. It's such a thrilling part of business. But sometimes, do you ever find like, are the retailers like sort of dying for it, or do you have to sell them on the ideas that you do have?
Actually, we've had great uptake from everybody. So the retailers, if anything, they're saying, "What else have you got? What's new? What's new?" So, and same with our customers. So we have an amazing loyal base of customers, and we go to them and we ask them, "What would you love? What flavors would you love?" And we really try to listen and get that out there. And if anything, I need my team to help rein me in, because I'll go, "Let's do this. Let's do this." And so we have a team that will say, okay, I don't know if we should, go there. But, that is an exciting part. And we do have wonderful people who follow us, including our retail partners, who have so far loved what we've done. So we're really lucky that way.
And I think it's really fortunate to build a community of fans and of other moms who are trying to feed their kids healthy foods and organic foods, and to take their ideas on board and to be able to create that community where you're having conversations with them about what they're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our community, I'm so thrilled. We've got, really high household penetration across North America, meaning that a lot of people know about us. But also I think even adults, it's funny, one of our advisors who's older than me, and he's in his 60s, and he said, Dionne, I didn't really believe the whole organic thing, but now it's really, really, I just realized it's so important. He's a retired lawyer, I never knew it before, but now I really see how this is going to, help stop my aging process. And so it's really interesting how people are starting to understand things and following us. Not only like 50% of our customers are people who don't have children or who have children who are not young any longer, which surprised us. But it's because they're going, oh, thank you for making something clean, organic, that tastes delicious, and I love having that guilt-free opportunity. So yeah, it's families, it's moms, it's moms of little kids, moms of kids, teenagers, and people who are adults themselves. So it's nice community.
Yeah. Well, and now you'll be getting people who had them as kids, like your own kids, who are turning into adults who still want to buy the product for themselves.
Exactly. So yeah, it's really nice and it's full circle, and we're building a brand as a legacy, that will create organic treats and snacks for hopefully years and years to come.
Yeah. How would you say your role has changed? Like how your day to day has changed and what it looks like for you now versus, in the early years and as you scaled up to where you're at today?
I feel so relieved. There's probably many times a day I think, oh my God, thank God for my team. Because when you start out, you do it all. And, I don't think I could do it again to that extent, doing it all. It's, it is a breakneck pace. You give up, I don't know about you, but I gave up all my social network. I had to give up so much of my life because I was doing it single-handedly. I didn't have a partner. My husband is a doctor and he was busy working, and he would watch the kids when I'd have to travel. And so it went from doing everything and probably doing a lot of stuff not so well because it's not my expertise, to starting to fill the leadership team, and then the extended team. And we have a philosophy at DeeBee's. If you're with us for a year or longer, everybody has the opportunity for ownership. So I see our entire team as my partners. And I love that because you go from being quite lonely and scared and crying in your pillow with fear, um, as an early entrepreneur, to being able to share all this with so many people. And there are things happening all the time in the company. And I think to myself, wow, I don't need to go out and send that postage there or make sure that this person is, manufacturing properly, or that the trucks are being loaded and they're arriving where they're supposed to go, and setting up a trade show booth. All these things, going knocking on every single door, which I literally did, knocking on buyers' doors and having them slammed in my face. So it's changed a lot to, still being the face of the company. And I just got home from a, 5 city tour, back to back to back, which was exhausting, but exciting. So I get to do the stuff that I feel like I'm really good at, which is being the face, sharing my story, and making sure that we are, as a leadership team, we're making some of the best decisions we can make. But having a lot of gratitude, for being in this place with a team around us.
And having good people on that team and people that you can trust who are invested in making the company the best they can as well.
Exactly. In fact, everyone on our leadership team, has invested in the company. So, and including our, advisory board have also invested. So, because I really felt like I want people to have skin in the game. I want us to be what a true partnership means. I want you to think like a partner, not just somebody who is giving me advice, and it doesn't really matter to them. It has to like really matter to them. And so yeah, I'm very happy with kind of how that side of the company has been built.
hmm well, and I was very happy to see you named to the list of Canada's fastest growing companies. And that's no small
Thank you.
accomplishment when you've been in business for this long.
I feel so lucky. We've had that a few years running, and we're so grateful for that. And sometimes I have people say, "Do you celebrate these things?" And I always say, "No, no," because I do a little bit for our team, but I'm like, oh, there's always a challenge that comes up, and as soon as you get too excited, boom, something harsh happens, and you go, "Oh my God, I got to deal with it." But it is something that I'm so proud of, and I'm proud of our team that we've been able to get there. You know,
Yeah, it's one of those funny things about like one of the things in my book I talk about pinnacles and plateaus, and we like to just keep climbing for pinnacles as entrepreneurs. We do not like to think about sitting on plateaus.
no, absolutely right. Very well said.
But it also is, you're right, like when you have a team, stopping with some recognition for a milestone achieved is important to the people that work for you. Even though it might be like, you're like, okay, well, yeah, I made that list, but I was hoping it would be better. Or there's always this like, but I wanted more. I think about like in us as entrepreneurs, there's always more that we want.
You're right, and it's so true, and that's exactly what I think pretty much with any award I get. I'm like, okay, but it's our team, but it truly is, and you're right. We need to celebrate those wins for our team because, yes, we may be the ones being called out or the company, but it is those people that made it happen, and they need to know that they're a part of something that needs to be and should be celebrated. So you're right, and I could probably do an even better job at that. And you just made me. We had an all team meeting, and I said, "Ah," I thought to myself, "Geez, I didn't recognize everybody for that achievement." So I'm going to go back and do that because I think it's really, you're right, it's very important for the team.
Yeah. And it is funny because you get caught in the like the next piece that you're after, or the next thing that you have on your list of goals. And yeah, I think I don't know if it's also like a thing we do as women, or if it's entrepreneurs as a whole. I'm not sure
I
about
bet
that.
you it's both. I bet you it's both because probably men do it as well. I know for sure that is a lot of my women founder friends. We all tend to do that, including you. It, it is something that I don't know if we're taught to be really, really humble, and we take that seriously and take that to heart, or if we always feel like, for me, I always feel like, well, I could be doing better. I should be doing better. And we're hard on ourselves, really hard on ourselves, you know?
I think it's a lot about that as women. It's oh, yes, I was named to that, but we always have the but, I could be a better leader. I could
Always,
have all the different pieces that come with that.
always a but. Always. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's funny because I have, male advisors who are like, wow, you got to celebrate that. I'm like, are you kidding me? No. Like, I'll celebrate my team, but no, like for me, no, 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 no. So I have to, that's things that, those are things that I do need to work on. And I do have a coach who, catches me on that, which I think is really important to have that coaching and to have that mentorship for us as founders because we hold a lot, you know? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
And
important.
and yeah, and how did you come to work with the coach, and what was important about that for you?
I actually came to work with a coach through a very good founder friend who's a dear friend of mine. Her name is Nicole Smith. She's the founder of Flightographer. And she introduced me to my coach named Goalie Avery. And you know, it's like therapy for business. I still deal with my own therapy for personal stuff, but it's really, as entrepreneurs, I think it's really healthy to look for that coach who we connect with, who might give us insight into ourselves that we typically don't hear, because we don't divulge that information and those internal fears and anxiety that we have. So it's very healthy. And we at DB's we stay profitable at all cost, and I just had to pull back on some of my coaching, and I really miss it. So Yeah, it's something that I hear her head, or her voice in my head sometimes, saying, Dion, think about that,
Are
So
you sure
it's,
you should be doing that, Dionne?
exactly. Yes. And we still text each other. So she's still coaching me. But I'm definitely going to get back at doing more of that. It's really
Hmm.
important.
Well, it's important because I think thinking about what are those external sounding boards that we put into place in order for us to come back and lead within the company in the way that we want to.
Exactly. I think we can be the healthiest leaders. It's like in your family. If you go and you deal with things that are, really impacting how you are with your family and how you treat them, and the subconscious things that you're not even aware you're doing. Same thing with business. So I think it does make us better leaders. And it's really important to have a sounding board where you can do some check-ins and talk about things that are tough and get the insight instead of going to your team members. um, have that external sounding board. It's really healthy.
Yeah, there's somewhere along the way in the journey where it shifts from that collaborative decision making around the table to where you need to, you know, throw some things at the wall and figure out what's happening before you come back to that leadership team and, talk about making a decision.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times Goalie and I have spoken, and I'm so thankful I did before I went back to my team, or I dealt with, whatever was going on, positive or negative, or challenges, or, wins, whatever it may be. It's been much more beneficial than I even expected. So,
Huh. I think that's a
yeah,
real like nugget to uncover in your entrepreneur journey.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. It's very important.
Yeah. And so, what's next now? What's next for you? What's on your path to world domination and profitability at all costs? What are you thinking about these days? What's top of mind?
It's really, where are we going next? What are we going to do? We've already, we're well into 2025 planning, and we have a test and learn strategy. So we just launched a product called Dipums. This is our little package here, and
Oh, they're so cute.
it's a remake of a nostalgic treat where we have an organic fruit stick, and the delicious organic fruit powder. So and we put it out there. So you dip the fruit stick in, and you lick it off. And it's funny the things you learn, because you really need to. Our fruit stick is like a juice stick, and if you lick on it, if you lick it, it's more delicious than if you bite it. And it's been one of my challenges. How do we convey that without sounding X-rated? But
Yeah.
you should have seen the videos we've made. I'm like, please try to lick on it, suck it. It's really delicious. So it's tough.
And it's
Because
for
it's a delicious,
children.
it's for children, and none of it is supposed to sound X-rated at all, and our team are like, oh God, Dion, you have to re-record that one. So it's we put it out there, and we're learning. People have said, I want more than one stick. I want this to taste like this. And so we're constantly revising it and adjusting it. And so by the new year, we'll have kind of this perfected product. So that's been our strategy, and it's a new strategy. We're still figuring out how we do that, how we get a product out there, we test it, and then we learn, and we don't order too much, so that we can adjust it and change it. And because you have to, change the packaging. And so that's it's almost like a scientist. When you have a hypothesis and you have to test your hypothesis, and you may need to go back and make revisions to that hypothesis on what you learned. And it's similar. I often relate it back to, how I learned to be a medical scientist, and this test and learn. I just discovered, oh my God, we've got too much inventory of packaging with the ingredients we started with, and we need to change that. And so that's going to happen in the new year. And so, there's always things you need to work through, but we're really excited about that product. And in fact, I have like revisions, right here of powders that I've come up with an incredible scientist, chemist actually, and an aromist in Italy, where we came up with the most delicious new powders that are coming out, and delicious organic fruit. They're kind of like literally like fruit juice sticks. Um, so I'm excited for those to evolve.
I think it's so interesting when you have that kind of community that's helping you kind of discern what people want, right? Because it's a big risk to do large production runs and to, put your stake in the ground. And then at the same time, you've got to find feedback that's real, because not all feedback is actually going to sell product.
You're absolutely right. And it's funny because when I read feedback and people will rate it kind of and I think, oh, I just want to talk to each of them and tell them we're changing it. We're changing it. We hear you. You want more sticks. We're giving you more sticks. You want better powder. We're giving you better powder. But I think a lot of people, when they give you feedback, they think that that's the end. And so it's also, how do we convey to our community that this is just the first go at it? Let us know what you think, and then we're going to take that and we're going to make changes to it. We're going to hear you, and adjust accordingly. And so I think, that's that next challenge. How do you convey that? Because it's a different type of philosophy, you know, so that people will go and try it again.
Yes, and a philosophy that I don't think people expect.
Right, right. It is a different way of doing it. I don't know. I'm sure other people do it, but it's one that I really believe in. So, yeah, I think getting that, conveying that, and having that test and learn kind of be a part of who we are, is an exciting part of innovation, because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming out over the next 12 to 24 months.
Good. Well, I can't wait to follow you and see where all this innovation takes you, and to follow the company on your growth journey. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've so loved talking with you, Julie.
All right. Take care, Dionne.
Thanks. You too.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you won't miss any episodes. Figure 8 isn't just a podcast. It's a way of seeing the big, gorgeous goals of women entrepreneurs coming to life. If you're interested in learning more, you can find my book, Big Gorgeous Goals, on Amazon anywhere you might live. For more about my growth and leadership training programs, visit www.julieellis.ca to see how we might work together. Read my blog or sign up to get your free diagnostic. Are you ready for growth? Once again, that's www.julieellis.ca. When we work together, we all win. See you again soon for another episode of Figure 8.